Okay, so today the topic for our discussion is coordination and response. So first of all, let us understand about coordination, what coordination basically is. So when we talk about coordination, it is one of the most important concepts in biology. So just imagine that you are walking on the road, right? So suddenly a car honks loudly behind you. So your ears hear that sound and your brain understand that it is dangerous and your leg muscles quickly move you to side, right? So how did all these body parts work together so quickly? So this is a question. So basically your body able to respond because of coordination. So what coordination basically is? Coordination is a process by which different organs and organ system of the body work together to detect a stimulus and produce the correct response, right? So coordination means different body parts communicating with each other to produce the right action at the right time. So the thing is, why coordination is important for us and what is significance of coordination in our life, in our bodies, right? So coordination helps us to respond to changes in environment, right? It protects ourselves from danger, it maintains the balance, it maintains the body temperature, it controls the movement and keeps internal conditions of the body stable with respect to outside condition, right? So that's how it works. So there is a complete flow of information. So first of all, here comes the stimulus, right? And then receptors, then coordinators, then effector, and then response. For example, uh, imagine you are touching a hot object. So what will happen? Obviously, when you touch that hot object, your hand will immediately move backward, right? So the heat in this case is basically the stimulus. What is stimulus? Any change in the environment that is, able to produce the response is known as stimulus. So heat in this case will be a stimulus. Now there is receptor. So what are receptors? Receptors are basically those organs, right, that detect any change. This can be sensory nerve endings, right? This can be your skin, right? So in this case, the sensory nerves in your skin, in your hand would act as a receptor. Got it? Then next is coordinator. So in our body, brain and spinal cord work as a coordinator. The basic function of the coordinators is to interpret the information for the receptor. So what happens? We detected heat and this heat is detected by the receptors in our body, that is receptor in our skin, and the information will go towards the coordinator, that is brain and spinal cord, and that information will be interpreted in that, right? After that, brain and spinal cord send message to the effector. What are effectors? Effectors can be any muscles or glands in our body, right? And what are the function of effectors? They are able to produce response. So what happens in this case? We received heat acts as a stimulus, and our nerve endings of the skin received heat, so they will act as a receptor. This information will go towards the brain and spinal cord. Then brain and spinal cord give the message or order our muscles of our hand to move in the backward direction, and that would be our response. So response is any action that is produced, got it? It's any action that is produced as a result of stimulus in the body, got it? So how it occurs? In this way the coordination happens in our body, and this is the proper pathway. All right, so when we talk about system that are responsible for coordination in our body, So there are basically, our body has two types of communication systems, right? First one is nervous system and other is endocrine or hormonal system. Got it? So what is nervous system? Nervous system sends messages through the electric impulses. So message can be sent in nervous system in the form of electric impulses. Got it? So as the electric impulses, speed of the impulse is very fast, so nervous response would be very fast. As it is very fast, so it would be short-lived response. It will immediately finish. Got it? Okay. On the other hand, we have the endocrine or hormonal system. So endocrine system send messages using chemical messengers. And these chemical messengers are known as hormones. Got it? So these hormones travel in our bloodstream, and from bloodstream they will act on the target organ or tissue that will be able to produce the responses, right? So in endocrine system, the response is slower as compared to the nervous system, but the response or effects would be long lasting as compared to the nervous system. It controls long term activities. For example, the growth of our body, the puberty, the blood glucose level, right? And uh, it works in this way basically. Okay. So after this we have the next topic, that is about organization of nervous system. So what is nervous system? Nervous system is a type of coordination system in our body that send impulses, right? That send nerve impulses, electric impulses to produce effect, right? And it is short-lived and fastest. Okay. So now there is organization of nervous system. So nervous system is divided into two main parts. First one is CNS, that is central nervous system, right? And second one is PNS, that is peripheral nervous system. So central nervous system consists of brain and our spinal cord, right? And the function of this nervous system is to receive the information, process that information, and send commands. So think of it as the body's headquarters, right? Okay. So if we talk about the peripheral nervous system, so peripheral nervous system includes all the nerves outside the brain and spinal cord, right? So what is the function of the peripheral nervous system? It connects the central nervous system with every part of the body, and it carries message to, right, and from the central nervous system. So think of it as roads connecting different cities of the capital. Got it? So here was the brief explanation of the organization of nervous system. And if we talk about the neurons, so there are three types of neurons, that are sensory neuron that carries impulse from receptor to central nervous system. Then biliary neuron, right, that connects neuron within the central nervous system, and the motor neurons that carry impulse from central nervous system towards effector. So out of these three types of neuron, motor neuron is much important. So we will talk about the structure of the motor neuron. So motor neuron, basically it carries the impulses from CNS to effectors, right? CNS to effectors. So effectors are basically muscles and gland that will produce a response. So brain tells, for example, brain tells your arm muscles to lift up. So motor neurons carries this command. Got it? So motor means it will move muscles. Got it? Okay. So how the impulse will transfer from this journey, we can say that from the stimulus, it will go towards the receptor, then towards the sensory neuron, then towards the relay neuron, and then towards the motor neuron, right? And from the motor neuron, it will reach effector, and from effector, it will produce response. So that is basically a reflex pathway. Got it? Okay, now we are concerned with the structure of the motor neuron. So let us talk about the structure of the motor neuron. Okay, a motor neuron has several important parts. First part is the dendrite. Got it? So dendrites are basically small branches, and the function is to receive impulses from other neurons. So you can think of them as antennas. Then there is a cell body, right? Cell body contains the nucleus and the cytoplasm. And function of the cell body is to control all the activities of the neuron. Just like in our body, there's a brain that is controlling all the activities. So cell body controls all the activities of the neuron. Then there are axons. Basically, their function is to carry the impulses away from the cell body. So axon can be over 1 meter long. Got it? Then there is a myelin sheath in the yellow color, that is a fatty covering around the axon, and it basically protects the axon, and the function of this myelin sheath is to speed up the nerve impulse. So think of it like insulation around an electric wire. Got it? Then we have node of Ranvier. So these are small gaps that you can see, small gaps in the myelin sheath, and it helps the electric impulse jump from one node to the next, making transmission much faster. Then there are axon terminals. So these are located at the end of the axon, and they pass the impulse to the next neuron or to an effector. So that's all about today. We have talked about coordination and response, the types of coordination system, and what are the parts of the nervous system, that are central and peripheral nervous system. Then we talked about the neurons, structure of the motor neuron. So that's all about today's lecture.